Hello and welcome to Anne Arundel County Week in Review. I'm County Executive John Leopold. This week's show has legislative updates from the County Council, investigation information from both the police and fire departments, and a behind-the-scene look at the Department of Inspections and Permits. This is your chance to get caught up on all the county's news, sports, and community features. Stay with us. Anne Arundel County Week in Review is next.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Wardlaw, and this is Anne Arundel County Week in Review. Making headlines this week, the Council gave its final approval to the Anne Arundel County's FY08 budget on Thursday.
This has been a collaborative process, working collaboratively with the members of the County Council, the auditor staff, the budget staff, working together to craft a budget that taxpayers can be proud of. At the top of the list, it should be noted that I kept my commitment that there would be no increase in property or income taxes. Also, there's some major new initiatives for the Board of Education, 111 new teachers. We've fully funded special education. We fully funded the AVID program, Advancement via Individual Determination for the academic middle. We've increased funding for the International Baccalaureate program, for middle school involvement. So there's some very good things we're proud of. And I'm very proud of the fact, too, that we've dedicated 49.9% of the county budget for public education. That's the highest percentage in the 42-year history of Anne Arundel County charter government. Also in the budget, I'm pleased that we're able to provide for a new street lighting program in high crime areas, about $300,000 for that. Also set aside $200,000 for colonoscopies for low-income families and low-income individuals. So I'm very pleased that some of the things that we put into this budget, it's a fiscally responsible budget. Spending increased by a little over 4%, while the income growth and revenue income growth for the county was over 5.5%. So we're clearly keeping pace with the growth of income, in fact, keeping that below that. Again, with the looming challenges at the state level, which may involve some state cuts to county aid, I think it was prudent to plan for a tight-fisted, fiscally responsible budget where the taxpayers come out on top.
Council unanimously approved the fiscal year 08 budget. Well, touring Fort Meade was part of a 3-hour meeting between County Executive Leopold, Governor O'Malley, Lieutenant Governor Brown, and Colonel Ken McCready. Now, Congressman Ruppersberger and Sarbanes also met with the others to discuss BRAC-related issues. The county executive has been anticipating the growth in relation to BRAC and spoke with his colleagues on how the county is taking a regional approach.
I've tried to get some federal dollars for transportation so that Anne Arundel County can have its own buses, 3 buses. I've put over $100,000 in the county budget to leverage federal dollars so we can have our first 3 buses, which will service Fort Meade, the Odenton Sound Center, and Savage. Although he's not present, Ken Ullman and I have been working closely on mutually important projects. The transportation center, the bus depot near Tipton Airport is another example of that regional cooperation. The Baltimore Metropolitan Council, all the county executives in the region, recently voted to name as their priorities the MARC-related improvements, the MARC parking, and also some of the new improvements that are needed, the locomotives and the bi-level cars. But I think MARC is an example of where the entire state can get behind a priority. Very important. The needs are infinite. Unfortunately, the resources are finite. So it's a constant struggle to try to secure those dollars at all levels of government, federal, state, and local.
The county executive also talked about the BRAC acronym and how that, too, relates to regional cooperation.
BRAC can also stand for Building a Regional Action Consensus. I think that theme has been mentioned. It's very important to try to do that. We all have our individual county needs. I know in Anne Arundel County, our BRAC-related transportation needs total about $5 billion, and the BRAC necessitates $16 billion, perhaps statewide, for all the transportation projects. So it's important to try to leverage local dollars wherever possible to secure state and federal dollars.
After the tour of the Army installation, the group visited Westmead Elementary School, one of the schools that the county executive set aside money in his budget for a feasibility study. Well, meanwhile, in response to a joint request from County Executive Leopold and the County Council, Governor Martin O'Malley's Grants Office has agreed to provide technical assistance to the county's nonprofit organizations. The Grants Office will also conduct a survey of Maryland counties to assess current practices in providing county funds to local groups.
Taxpayers are entitled to greater accountability in determining how their tax dollars are used for these grants programs.
In addition to the survey, the Grants Office will assist these groups in developing outcome measurements to ensure that taxpayer funds achieve real results. Local organizations will also be invited to join the Grants Office statewide training conference in September. That program is designed to help nonprofits identify private and foundation funding sources, successfully apply for those grants, and then manage those grants funds for success. Local groups such as the Anne Arundel County Arts Council and the Community Foundation of Anne Arundel County support this joint initiative. And during this year's grant process, the county executive funded organizations this year that had not received funding in previous years. They include $5,000 for Anne Arundel Habitat for Humanity, $5,000 for Food Link, and $3,000 for the Anne Arundel County Women's Commission. The county executive also funded budget initiatives to help fund the treatment system installed to reduce high levels of radium, a cancer-causing agent, in wells for families with a combined annual income of less than $80,000. Now, Mr. Leopold also put in $200,000 to the budget for free colonoscopies for low-income residents. Well, in other county news, the issue of access to public records has received the attention of the Office of Law most recently. And to talk more on that issue, we turn to County Attorney John Hudson.
Hello, Rhonda. On May 2nd of this year, Anne Arundel County received an email Public Information Act, or PIA, request from an editor of a minor area newspaper that is distributed to the public for free. The editor made a very broad and detailed request for information regarding compensation and benefits paid to all county employees. Now, Maryland law allows the custodian of public records a period of 30 days to respond to such a request, and in its timely response, the Office of Personnel responded appropriately and did not deny any of the requested information. In addition, the county provided helpful information intended to assist the editor in this and future PIA requests. Nevertheless, the editor published an item inaccurately and unfairly critical of the county's response. County Executive John Leopold is a strong advocate for open government and has made it clear to all county agencies that they are to assign great importance to PIA requests and to answer them promptly and in full compliance with the law. However, it's important to understand that the law places limits on what may be obtained from local government. For instance, the law does not require the government to create documents that do not already exist. In other words, the county agency is not obligated to create summaries of documents or to organize the documents in new ways. Furthermore, the law recognizes that requests might be large in scope and require substantial employee hours to answer. In such cases, the law allows the government to charge reasonable fees for gathering the requested information. Lastly, law establishes an administrative procedure whereby persons who believe they have been wrongly denied access to a public document may file an appeal to review the denial for compliance with the law. Alternatively, an aggrieved party may file a complaint in the circuit court when a governmental agency violates the Public Information Act. The Public Information Act is an important law that helps to ensure that government will remain transparent and open for inspection by those it serves. County Executive John Leopold supports this law, and all county agencies work hard to make sure the sun shines in. Now that's it for now, Rhonda. Back to you.
Thanks, John. Well, there are a number of upgrades going on at the Department of Inspection and Permits, and it's all being done to make the permit process a little easier for customers. Joining us now is Public Information Officer Dave Abrams with more details.
Thanks, Rhonda. County Executive Leopold has directed the Department of Inspections and Permits to try to speed up the process for applying for permits whenever possible. One of the ways that we're trying to do that is by improving our website. With me today is Frank Ward, Director of the Permit Application Center here at the Riva Road Complex. Frank, could you tell us a little bit about why you were meeting today with some computer contractors? What's that all about?
Well, thanks, Dave. We had a project today relative to workflow management. Right now, we have a method to send comments out to customers by mail. Takes a little bit of problem sometimes, so what we're trying to do is improve the automation of that system. It's an old work product, and our goal is to be able to have it set up so that all the computer comments that we have on a project are available online on a computer. So the architect in Beltsville or the engineer in Severna Park or the next door neighbor can know exactly what's going on with a particular application.
Frank, how does the process work right now? What are you trying to change? It takes a little time, I guess, when you're working with paper.
Well, right now, the way the process works is all the different reviewing agencies enter their comments into a computer system. We generate a written letter. It could take as many as 2 to 3 days after that written letter is finally completed before we're able to send it out to the customer. Our goal is to try to keep our timelines as short as possible and get those comments out to the customer the day that those comments are generated, and not have the customer wait a week for U.S. Mail or anybody else to send those comments to them.
Thanks for being with us, Frank. Rhonda, we're going to periodically update you on what's going on with improvements to our websites. Meanwhile, people can access the website at www.aacounty.org. On the right-hand side, there are quick links and access to services such as applying for permits and requesting inspections. Back to you.
Thanks, Dave. Well, the Anne Arundel County Fire Department responded to 1,618 emergency calls this week. This included 1,240 emergency medical calls and 225 fire calls. Now, county fire investigators are currently asking for help with information regarding a fire that occurred in the Crofton area on Monday. With me now is Battalion Chief Michael Cox of the Anne Arundel County Fire Department to talk more about the incident. Chief.
Thanks, Rhonda. Shortly before 9 p.m. on Monday, May 28th, Anne Arundel County firefighters responded to a reported dwelling fire in the area of Route 3 South and Evergreen Road in the Crofton area of the county. First unit to arrive on the scene reported that they had a 1.5-story single-family dwelling totally engulfed in flames. It took 33 firefighters approximately 90 minutes to bring the one-alarm incident under control. There were no injuries as a result of the fire. The home, which was believed to have been unoccupied, was later determined to have been vacant for several months. The exact cause of the fire, which is being called suspicious, caused an estimated $40,000 in damages and remains under investigation. Rhonda?
Thanks, Chief. And the county fire investigators are asking anyone who may have information about this incident to call the TIPS line at 410-222-TIPS or 410-222-8477. Well, Anne Arundel County Executive John Leopold is reminding everyone in the county that June is National Safety Month. This year's focus is celebrating safe communities. Now, a safe community constitutes any location where several people congregate. That could be your home, an office, or even a neighborhood, and promote healthy behaviors that protect people from harm in all aspects of their lives.
Safety means a number of things. It means safe communities, safe from the fear of crime. I'm pleased to announce that I've put money in the budget, $300,000, for a new street lighting program in high crime areas. I'm also reducing the contribution that communities must make for the installation of speed humps to reduce traffic speeding in their communities. And I can tell you, when I've traveled around Anne Arundel County over the last 4 years and more, people often complain about speeders in their community, and I think this appropriation in the budget addresses that concern.
Workplace injuries are on the decline. However, the number of unintentional injuries occurring off the job continue to rise. Since a person inhabits many different communities throughout the day, Anne Arundel County is encouraging businesses and individuals to reduce the risk of unintentional injury and death in everyday life. Now, everyone should have the goal to make businesses, homes, and all places between the roads a safer place for all of us. And in a related story, routine proactive patrol by our county police officers not only provides a greater sense of security for our communities and businesses, it often leads to the detection of criminal activity and the apprehension of suspects committing those crimes. And now joining me is Corporal Mark Shockey with the County Police Department to fill us in on an interesting example of what you call that proactive policing.
Thank you, Rhonda. On Wednesday, May 30th, at approximately 1:21 a.m., Lieutenant Silverman of our Western District Midnight Shift was on patrol in the area of 3285 Laurel Fort Meade Road when he observed a suspicious vehicle parked along the fence line of the business at this address. Lieutenant Silverman approached the vehicle and found it to be unoccupied. A suspicious subject was observed coming from a trailer at this address and was detained. It was determined that the business at Lot 3C, Reliable Roofers, had been burglarized and ransacked. The suspect was found to be wearing gloves and in possession of burglary tools. He was arrested and charged with various burglary charges and theft and trespassing. Back to you, Rhonda.
Thanks, Corporal. Well, Selena Roper from Severn River Middle School is spelling her way to national attention. She started her adventure on March the 3rd at the 2007 Anne Arundel County Spelling Bee and is currently at the 80th Annual Scripps National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. Her parents are Janice Roper Graham and Bruce Roper, and they were there to watch Selena move into the quarterfinals at the national level. At the time that we taped this program, Selena was one of 59 spellers out of 286 that started the national competition.
I want to congratulate Selena Roper on her outstanding performance in Maryland, which allows her to advance to the National Spelling Bee contest. I wish her well.
Selena stands to take home part of the $45,000 prize money and maybe even get the top prize of $12,000. We promise that we'll have the final outcome for you on next week's program. And joining us on this week's program, as he does every week, is Eric Roby with our sports. What's going on this week, Eric?
Well, I hear spelling bees are going on,
Yeah.
and my subject in school, I guess, was history. I was
Were
never
ya?
big in language arts and all that stuff, but you
Yeah.
look like you were a pretty good speller.
No, you know, as your senior year, you always get most likely to succeed, you know, class clown. Serious as a heart attack, I got most likely to misspell my own name.
Oh my
I was not known for my
gosh.
spelling ability.
So were you a brunette in high school, Rhonda?
Yes. I'm still a brunette, Eric.
I understand.
Let's go to sports.
go to
I'm
sports.
dying.
Good day, sports fans. Some state champions to talk about in today's Sportscast, so let's get right to it. Hats off to the Lady Cougars who have captured the state softball crown. The underclassmen paved the way for Chesapeake to take home their 6th state title in school history. The Cougars got the rematch they were looking for against defending state champions Damascus High School from Montgomery County. Chesapeake sophomore ace Lauren Gibson pitched a no-hitter for the Cougars, and sophomore Kelly Hickman picked up the only 2 RBIs of the game, smacking a double down the line in the first inning. Chesapeake picked up the state championship with a 2-zip victory. The championship will be the first state title for head coach Don Ellenberger. On the other side of Pasadena, the Northeast Eagles were making their record 14th appearance in the state softball title game. The ladies gave it their all, but in the end, a dominating pitcher from Huntingtown was just too much for the Lady Eagles to handle. Hurricanes pitcher Carrie Hickey did not allow a Northeast Eagle to cross the plate all night. Hickey, a senior who is headed to the University of Maryland next year, continued her streak of, get this, 48 consecutive games without allowing an earned run. The Eagles and sophomore ace Heather Brown held their own. They were locked in a 0-0 tie until the winds kicked up in the 6th inning. The two, now 3-time defending champion Huntingtown Hurricanes, had an explosive offensive inning in the 6th. The Eagles ended up falling to the Hurricanes 4-0. This also would be the last game that Eagles head coach Marianne Schultz would lead her Eagles onto the ball field. Schultz, who has been a fixture with Northeast softball for the last 16 years, will step aside as head coach to focus all her attention now on her duties as athletic director of Northeast High School. We wish her all the best. Moving off the ball diamond and onto the track, the outnumbered and outmanned boys Meade Mustang track team brought home the state crown. The Mustangs, who were only able to field 8 members of the boys squad this year, were able to come away from the meet with 57 points to beat out Gaithersburg High School with 49 and Richard Montgomery with 43. Mustang senior Terry Marshall sealed the deal in the last event of the day when he threw the discus 154 feet 10 inches to take home top honors in the boys discus event. Individually, Glen Burnie Gopher Justin Murdoch was crowned state champion in the 100-meter dash, and Broadneck's fastest man Matthew Centerwitz broke the state record in the 1,600-meter mile run and picked up another state championship for himself. Staying with Matthew Centerwitz, he will be among an elite group competing in New York City this Saturday. Matthew will be taking place in the Reebok Grand Prix mile run, and his time of 4 minutes, 4.9 seconds at last week's state championship will have to be just a little faster this weekend. You see, in 1973, a young boy from Power Memorial High School in Manhattan put up a time of 4 minutes, 2.7 seconds. That young boy was none other than Matthew Centerwitz Sr., and he will be there this weekend rooting for his son to break the record he holds. Good luck, safe trip.
And now it's time to Stump the Sports Guy.
Well, the sports guy wants to try to stump the anchor lady this week. So your favorite news anchor and Week in Review superstar has agreed to play the new mascot match game. Kids, this is a game that you can play along with at home and see if you're smarter than a news anchor. Here's how it's going to work. A picture of a mascot's going to appear on the screen behind us. Okay. I'm going to tell you the name of the mascot, and what I want you to tell me is the name of the team that this mascot supports or is affiliated with.
All right.
So you ready? The first one's kind of easy. I made the first one pretty easy for you. Got to turn around.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a little worried about this. Okay, go.
Okay.
All right.
This is our first mascot.
All right.
He is called the Fanatic, and you know, his favorite movie is Rocky. He's been with this organization since 1978.
Okay. County executive probably likes this baseball team.
Maybe.
I'm thinking it might be Philadelphia.
All right, you got one right.
Hoorah.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, here's our next mascot.
Right.
This mascot is named Miles, and the reason they've named him Miles is because the name of his stadium, it's kind of a nickname type thing.
Mile High Stadium, Denver Broncos.
You got it. Good job. 2 for 2.
Okay.
All right, this is a baby mascot. I made this one really easy. You kind of see the...
I appreciate that, because you didn't think I'd get the first two.
Well, you know, I had confidence in you.
Is there like a name though? I know it's
Washington
his name is Screech.
Nationals. Yeah, his name is Screech.
Okay,
the
Washington Nationals.
Good, 3 for 3.
Okay.
All right, number 4. Now there's an interesting story with this one here. The mascot's name is Yippee, and he's actually a French mascot, and he is the only mascot in Major League sports history to cheer for 2 different sports teams. Can you give me one of the sports teams that he's cheered for?
I'm going to, it's a hockey league, right?
It's hockey, good.
Okay, National Hockey League. Blackhawks.
Good guess,
Close.
but Blackhawks are the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah.
These are the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, I saw the C. I was going for that.
But
okay.
Good, you know, you're right on those lines. You're still 3 for 4. And our last mascot that we have up there, Rhonda, you need to know this one. His name is
I know it right
Beer
away.
Barrel Man.
All together, the Beer Barrel Polka for the Milwaukee Brewers.
There you go.
Yay.
4 for 5. Not bad. Not bad at all.
What was the one I missed again? What was that? The
Montreal Canadiens.
Oh.
And he also was the mascot for the Montreal Expos before the Expos kind of folded down and came down here and became the
Can we do that
Nationals.
again soon? That was fun.
Well, whatever pleases you.
I know, it's all about me, but that was great fun.
Good. Glad you liked it.
But in the meantime, we got to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more coming up on Anne Arundel County Week in Review. Please stay with us.
Hey, Gordy. Hey, Couch.
Whoa, somebody stop the ride.
I'm going to a farmer's market. Want to come?
Gee, Cornelia, I don't feel so good.
You'd feel better if you ate fresh, healthy food from the farm, like peaches or watermelon.
Sweet! I've never eaten a real peach before.
Well, let's go. Look, there's all sorts of yummy stuff to eat at your local farmer's market. What's the matter, guys?
How do you open the wrapper?
It's cool.
It's sweet. Fresh from the farm.
Let's eat. Let's go to a farm.
Welcome back to Anne Arundel County Week in Review. I'm County Executive John Leopold. Each year, the county receives money back from rewards programs from contracts issued on behalf of the county. With me today to explain more about the program is Fred Schramm, Director of Central Services. Fred, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the program?
Be happy to. First off, we have 2 checks for you today. The first one is from U.S. Bank, and that's on behalf of the P-Card program that we have. and this is for $102,000 in change.
Can I cash that right away?
Actually, this is being deposited as we speak. But
now it's made out to the county and not to me. I mean, I'm just kidding.
That was an oversight. But yeah, this is an annual rebate we've been receiving, and this year it's twice as much as it was last year. And it goes back to a lot of what you've been saying since you've gotten here. It goes back to the collaboration between the purchasing office and the Office of Finance. We were paying on about a 14-day cycle. By getting finance to pay earlier, in this case it's about 6 days now, it increased, while we did have some additional expenditures, by paying early it almost doubled our rebate. So the Office of Finance deserves a lot of credit for this as well.
That's great news for the taxpayers.
Yes, sir. So
great.
In a administration that's looking for revenue generation, this is another source.
This is outstanding. This is the kind of good news the taxpayers want to hear.
Exactly. I also have another one here, and this is from Office Depot, and this is for $35,000, and this is actually a rewards program for the amount of business that we do with office supplies. The nice thing about this, not only by using this much more efficient method of getting office supplies, it's on a national contract, so we receive just unbelievable reductions and discounts on the products that we use, but we also get 98% of our deliveries next day. So from an efficiency standpoint, we've closed a warehouse and we have a virtual warehouse with Office Depot.
That's great. I tell you, those are the kinds of efficiencies that really are important. You know, I've tried to set an example in my own office, the office of the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer. We cut 30% of our budget to show an example of the kind of efficiency and kind of fiscal stewardship that we think all levels of government should practice.
And I know from the departmental level, we're trying to follow that example.
Good. Well, I appreciate your hard work and service to all the members of your department who've made this a reality.
Glad to do it.
Thank you, sir. Fred. Stay with us. Anne Arundel County Week in Review will be back after this message.
Maryland state law requires all dogs, cats, and ferrets 4 months of age or older to be vaccinated against rabies. County Executive John R. Leopold wants to make sure your pets get their vaccinations.
This is County Executive John Leopold, urging you to make sure that your cat and dog are licensed and vaccinated. It's the law, and we want you to comply with the law, but we also want you to do it because you love your pet and you want to take good care of them. Isn't that right, Dora? Yes.
Due to the significant increase in positive rabies cases experienced in Anne Arundel County, Animal Control is doing its part to help protect all Anne Arundel County pets from the deadly rabies virus. Animal Control now holds weekly low-cost rabies clinics. Keep your pets constantly vaccinated against rabies. It's the law. Hello and welcome back to Anne Arundel County Week in Review. This is the time of our show that many people anticipate as Betsy brings us this week's Pets of the Week.
Hi Rhonda, I'm here at Animal Control Headquarters at 411 Maxwell Fry Road in Millersville, Maryland. At this time I would like to introduce everyone to two of the many animals who are hopefully temporarily calling Animal Control home. Today we are featuring two kittens. They are sisters. Their names are Lita and Talia. They are torties, both female, approximately 12 weeks old. They both weigh about 2.6 pounds. They're very cute, they're very friendly. Obviously they're sitting here playing away, trying to, and in fact succeeding in escaping. But they're delightful little kittens, and if you're interested in them, please come to Animal Control. If they're not available, there are many, many, many other animals who would love to go home with you. On June 19th, Animal Control will be holding its 4th microchipping clinic. This time it will be held at the Harwood Lothian Fire Station located at 5165 Solomons Island Road in Lothian. The clinic will be held between 5:30 and 7:30. The clinic is open only to citizens of Anne Arundel County and is limited to 2 pets, only cats and dogs per person. The cost of the procedure will be $20 per pet and payment must be made by check. Those interested in having their animals microchipped must register in advance. The registration form is available on our website at www.aacounty.org or at Animal Control Headquarters at 411 Maxwell Fry Road. The completed form may be either mailed to Animal Control or faxed in no later than June 12th. All pets must be current on rabies vaccinations. However, if you are having your animal microchipped and it is not current on its rabies vaccination, you will be able to get a shot at the clinic for a cost of $5. But again, this is only for animals that are being microchipped. Animal Control does hold a regular rabies clinic every Thursday, and you can have your pets receive their vaccination at that time. Additionally, your animal must be licensed, but again, they will give you 30 days from the date of the microchipping to have your animal registered. Licensing fees, which are set by county code, are as follows. Dogs and cats that have not been neutered and spayed are $15, except for persons over 60 and persons with disabilities, in which case they're $8. Dogs and cats that have been spayed or neutered are $4, except for persons over 60 and persons with disabilities, it is free. And ADA service animals and Canine Corps animals are always free. Thanks, and now back to you at the studio, Rhonda.
Thanks, Betsy. In this week's segment of the county's correctional system, Detention Facility Superintendent Robin Harding talks about the department's pretrial service program.
It should come as no surprise that not everyone charged with a crime is put in jail until they are tried. It is commonly understood that some defendants are released on their own recognizance, which is their promise to appear in court when required, and others are released on bail. Simply defined, bail is an amount of money or property the court decides a defendant must submit as sort of a deposit to guarantee he'll show up. When he does, he gets it back. Sometimes bail is posted through a commercial bondsman who actually pays the bail, and the defendant pays the bondsman a non-refundable fee for his services, usually 10% of the full bail amount. But personal recognizance and bail are not the only pretrial release options. The court may put conditions on a defendant's release and place him under the supervision of a pretrial services program, such as that offered by Anne Arundel County. Conditions vary based on the nature of the case and the defendant's risk of flight, ranging from minimal to intensive, but they are all geared toward ensuring that the defendant shows up in court and stays out of trouble in the meantime. And that's a key difference. Paying a bail, either directly to the court or through a bondsman, is supposed to assure appearance. Placing conditions on a defendant's release, supervised by pretrial services, does that, but it also helps deter pretrial misconduct. The menu of conditions the court may set includes restrictions with respect to travel, residence, or association, telephone or in-person contact with pretrial 1 to 3 times per week, submitting to urinalysis, participating in treatment, and having no contact with alleged victims. By providing these services, the pretrial program supports the public safety. Also, the program helps control jail crowding and serves the cause of equal justice by offering a non-monetary release option for defendants who might otherwise remain jailed simply because they can't afford to make bail. Pretrial services has another function on the other side of the bail decision. In preparation for bail hearings, staff interviews defendants to gather information that will assist the court in determining what conditions of pretrial release or bail should be set. Specifically, they gather and verify information about residence, employment, and community ties in general, and they obtain the defendant's criminal history, including record of prior failures to appear in court. The information is summarized and objectively presented to the court at the bail hearing, as is a recommendation for conditions of release where appropriate. This is an important service to the court because it means the judge has more than just the defendant telling him about himself and has a supervised release plan should he or she choose to accept it. In conclusion, the pretrial release determination is one of the most important decisions made in the criminal justice process. The Department of Detention Facilities is proud to support the court by offering a full-service pretrial services program which makes that decision easier and which offers an option to traditional bail. Back to you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Robin. On this week's Rec and Parks Report, Recreation Manager Mark Garrity joins us, and today he talks a little bit more about the county's Girls Softball League.
Thanks, Rhonda. My name is Mark Garrity. I'm the Recreation Manager for the Department of Recreation and Parks, and we're out here on a beautiful weekday evening to talk about girls softball at Arden Park. Joining me tonight are Paul Myers, the umpire-in-chief of Anne Arundel County Umpires, and Dana Sutphin, the commissioner of the Davidsonville softball program. We'll start with you, Paul. How long have you been an umpire?
About 10 years now.
And what do you like the most about being an umpire?
I like being out with the kids because I enjoy being outdoors with the kids, but most I like the opportunity to be able to teach them something about the game.
To become an umpire, how hard is that to do?
Just be 16 years of age and be a willingness to work with the kids.
And how many games a year do they do approximately?
For the county, if you umpire regularly, you can get anywhere from 25 to 35 games a year.
Okay. Now, do you background check your umpires?
Yes, all our umpires are background checked.
Thanks, Paul. And I'm assuming that you're always looking for a few good men and women?
We can always use another umpire or two, right?
Thanks, Paul. Dana, how long have you been the commissioner of the Davidsonville softball program?
About 12 years now.
12 years. Were you the original commissioner?
No, I followed in the footsteps of Joe O'Neill, and it was Joe and Mr. Bowen.
Okay. If a little girl is going to sign up for softball, what type of skills or fundamentals should she have or plan to learn relatively quickly?
The only thing that we ask that they come out with is a good attitude, and from there we teach them basics of catching, throwing, running bases, and teamwork.
Great. Now, I was watching on ESPN over the weekend the NCAA tournament, the girls softball tournament, and it seemed like pitching was an important part of that game. Would you say that's accurate?
Pitching is a major part of softball and becomes more important as the age groups go up. Pitching is, from the young girls, starts out as an underhand throw that goes anywhere from 20 to 25, 30 miles an hour at the age of 8, up to 60 miles an hour as you get to 14 to 18-year-olds playing. So it becomes a very big part of the game, a very big part of what softball is all about.
Now, when I was watching the college ladies on TV, they were throwing the ball about 67, 68 miles per hour. About how far away is that? Because it's obviously closer than a baseball diamond.
At that level, at the college level, they're throwing at 42 feet. At high school level, you're throwing at 40 feet. Our little girls from 8'10" and 10'12" start at 35 feet. It's relative to a baseball pitch. Baseball pitchers pitch at 60 feet. And relativity is if a girl's softball's thrown at 60 miles an hour, it's equivalent to a 93-mile-an-hour fastball from a baseball pitcher because of the distance.
Wow, so that gets here pretty quick, doesn't it?
You need to have good reaction time or it's not a pretty situation.
Now, how many girls are participating in Anne Arundel County softball?
I think right now the county's got about 70 teams in the league, ranging from 8-year-olds through 18-year-olds, 4 different age groups.
That sounds like a very popular sport. Would you say it's growing in popularity or about staying the same?
It's getting more and more popular. A lot of that had to do with the Women's Olympics team being televised, had a lot to come out with it. Now they're doing a lot of stuff on ESPN with women's college softball. There is a professional sport for women's softball, so it's getting more and more popular. It's something that the girls starting at 8 can learn to play, become comfortable with, and it's within their realm because we have different levels of play. So they don't come out at 8 years old and play with girls that have been playing for 4 years. They start at 8 and we have 3 different levels they can play at. Everybody can be involved without being overwhelmed. You don't have really, really good players with players that are just learning. It allows them to come in and actually mix abilities within certain age groups so that they learn at the same rate and can play together. So it is getting more popular.
One last quick question. What's the umpiring like in this league?
Actually, umpires they get better and better every year. They know the game. So they're out there calling a pretty fair game. You're always going to have coaches that disagree with umpires' calls, but that's part of the game. Right. It's all part of the fun. So
that was just a loaded question. I apologize. Sorry,
that's
Paul.
Okay.
So that's it for girls softball here at Arden Park. If you'd like to become an umpire with Paul, you can contact our sports desk at 410-222-7865, and we can give you information about softball officiating or any other type of referee or officiating you may want to do. So come on and join the men in blue. And if you want to learn more about girls softball or other recreation and parks programs, go to our website, www.aacounty.org/recparks. And of course, as always, recreation and parks in Anne Arundel County, rule number 1 is to have fun. Back to you, Rhonda.
Thanks, Mark. Now it's time to check out this week's Jobs of the Week. And for that, we turn to Assistant Personnel Officer Patricia Hopkins.
There are many ways to serve the citizens of this county, and many career opportunities provide personal and professional rewards. We have a very rich benefits package to offer, along with our pay and promotional opportunities. We currently have about 25 position announcements that we are recruiting for. I would like to highlight 2 of those positions for you today. We are looking for qualified candidates for Facilities Maintenance Mobile Crew Leader. This is a full-time, permanent, safety-sensitive position within the Department of Central Services Facility Maintenance Division. It is responsible, supervisory, and skilled work in the general maintenance, repair, and custodial services of county buildings and facilities. The annual salary range is $38,618 to $59,229. This position requires a graduation from high school or vocational school, 2 or more years' experience in facility maintenance and repair operations, including supervisory experience, and a valid non-commercial Class C motor vehicle operator's license. Preference will be given to candidates with various energy management systems. Our second highlighted position is for Buyer 3. This is a full-time, permanent position in the Department of Central Services Purchasing Division. It is professional work in large-scale purchasing of a variety of services, supplies, materials, and equipment. The annual salary range is $43,693 to $70,409. The minimum requirements are graduation from an accredited 4-year college or university with major coursework in business administration or a related field, and 2 or more years' experience in governmental purchasing. The 4-year degree may be substituted as follows: a minimum of 60 college credits in business administration or a related field, and an additional 2 years of experience in purchasing. Preference will be given to candidates with the following: experience with e-commerce, certification as an accredited purchasing practitioner, certification as a purchasing manager, and certification as a public purchasing buyer. Please visit our website to learn more about these positions and others, or to apply online. Just click on Careers and follow the instructions to learn more about job opportunities with Anne Arundel County government. Now, let's go back to County Executive John Leopold.
That wraps up another edition of Anne Arundel County Week in Review. Thank you for joining us this week, and I hope to see you around the county. Remember, you can watch this show on television or on the internet at www.aacounty.org. Just click on Week in Review. Also, if you have an iPod, you can download this program from iTunes. Until next week, have a great, safe week.